Good evening. I'm Bishop Grigori, and welcome once again to my points to ponder. These are thoughts on things that make me angry and cringe, because all evidence proves that the majority of citizens of the United States today are stuck on stupid. Now, tonight's video blog is titled "Another Fraud Attempting to Usurp the Office of President." Now, those of us with even a smattering of intelligence and with the ability to comprehend what we read and to think for ourselves instead of just regurgitating the pap fed to us by leftists and rhino Republicans with an agenda, already know that not only Obama, but Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and former presidential candidate Bobby Jindal are not natural-born citizens and therefore constitutionally ineligible to hold the office of president or vice president. But Ted Cruz has another secret that proves that he is an even bigger deceiver and liar than was first thought. The following information is proof positive that Cruz is anything but a constitutional conservative that believes in upholding the Constitution of the United States. Now, not only is Ted Cruz constitutionally ineligible to hold the office of President of the United States, he is also in the United States Senate illegally. Now, let me repeat that so that it is clearly understood by all. Not only is Ted Cruz constitutionally ineligible to hold the office of President of the United States, he is also in the United States Senate illegally. Ted Cruz is facing harsh scrutiny from real constitutional conservatives who know and understand the Constitution and who actually believe that it is the supreme law of the land. In his run for the White House, due to his Canadian citizenship records, which make it abundantly clear that he does not meet the constitutional natural-born citizen requirement for the Oval Office, despite the opinion letter from his Harvard friends. Now, many of us who truly love the United States and our constitutional republic, following a complete lack of vetting on Barack Hussein Obama, both in 2008 and in 2012, are insisting that never again should we allow anyone to enter the office of president without proper vetting, including proof of meeting all constitutional requirements for office. After Obama's almost total destruction of our constitutional republic, the issue of constitutional eligibility now stands front and center for many Americans, and partisanship plays no part in it. What I find interesting is the fact that Cruz himself once stated that both he and Barack Obama were ineligible for the Oval Office. Cruz now finds himself under tight scrutiny from the same people who tried to stop Obama from taking the Oval Office via fraud, aided and abetted by both Democrats and Republicans in Congress and the courts. It was Cruz who voluntarily placed himself in the crosshairs of constitutionalists by seeking an office he is not eligible to hold. By looking into Cruz's eligibility for the Oval Office, it has brought his eligibility for the U.S. Senate into question. Here is what Article 1, Section 3, Clause 3 states as a requirement for the U.S. Senate. Quote, "No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen." End of quote. So how does Cruz stack up in accordance with the Constitution? Well, in 2012, at the age of 42, Ted Cruz certainly met the age requirement of 30 years. But he also needed to meet the requirement of at least 9 years a citizen of the United States. Did he? As the Constitution states, one cannot be just an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. Now, the known source that the framers of the Constitution used for the defining of natural-born citizen was Emmerich Vattel's work, The Law of Nations and Natural Law, which also defines inhabitant as follows. The inhabitants, as distinguished from citizens, are foreigners who are permitted to settle and stay in the country. Bound to the society by their residence, they are subject to the laws of the state while they reside in it, and they are obliged to defend it because it grants them protection, though they do not participate in all rights of citizens. They enjoy only the advantages which the law or custom give them. The perpetual inhabitants are those who have received the right of perpetual residence. These are a kind of citizens of an inferior order and are united to the society without participating in all its advantages. Their children follow the condition of their fathers, and as the state has given to these the right of perpetual residence, their right passes to their posterity. End of quote. The legal term for this condition used in the United States today is illegal alien. Someone in our country and living under U.S. jurisdiction without legally belonging to the society. Liberals insist on referring to these people as undocumented citizens, which is an obvious oxymoron because they are in no way citizens at all. And contrary to current liberal leftist ideologies that view all illegal aliens in the U.S. as only undocumented citizens when it comes to any matter of law, authenticated evidence when it comes to any matter of law, and all politically motivated opinions, especially opinions which are either unfounded or poorly founded. Barack Hussein Obama posted 3 forged U.S. certifications of live birth and later a Hawaiian newspaper announcement of his birth to evidence his Oval Office eligibility, but in reality, he proved no such eligibility. Ted Cruz, on the other hand, issued his Canadian birth certificate as evidence of being born a citizen of Canada. And the following image of a true Canadian document is proof of Canadian citizenship at birth for Senator Ted Cruz. The image you are looking at is a copy of Ted Cruz's Canadian birth certificate. The next image is authenticated evidence released by Ted Cruz, is a Canadian document proving that he remained a legal citizen of Canada until renouncing that citizenship in May of 2014. This means he was still a legal citizen of Canada in 2012 when he ran for and was elected and took the oath of office for the U.S. Senate. Now, whether anybody likes it or not, this certificate is legal evidence that Ted Cruz was born Canadian in 1970 and remained a legal citizen of Canada until renouncing his Canadian citizenship in May of 2014. And the two documents together prove that Ted Cruz was a legal citizen of Canada in 2012 when he sought and claimed a seat in the U.S. Senate as a legal U.S. citizen. He lied. And as the highly intelligent lawyer that everyone makes him out to be, Cruz knew that he was lying. And as a result of this factual evidence, Cruz's campaign paid his friends at Harvard to issue a letter which makes a legal case for how Ted Cruz and Barack Obama might be natural-born citizens of the United States, eligible to seek the office of president. But folks, a legal opinion letter is not equal to, nor does it supersede, authentic evidence to the contrary. It is possible for a child to be born outside of the United States and still acquire legal U.S. citizenship at birth through a parent, not natural born status, unless both parents were U.S. citizens, according to U.S. naturalization codes pertaining to citizenship at birth for children born outside of the U.S. and its territories. If the related conditions are met, a child born outside of the United States to one U.S. citizen parent, in this case Ted's mother, the parent can file for and receive U.S. citizenship for the child by filing a CRBA form with a U.S. consulate at the time of birth. The statutes governing this naturalization process state, quote, a child born abroad to a U.S. citizen parent or parents may acquire U.S. citizenship at birth if certain statutory requirements are met. The child's parents should contact the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate to apply for a consular report of birth abroad of a citizen of the United States of America, known as a CRBA, to document that the child is a U.S. citizen. If the U.S. Embassy or consulate determines that the child acquired U.S. citizenship at birth, a consular officer will approve the CRBA application, and the Department of State will issue a CRBA, also called a Form FS-240, in the child's name. End of quote. According to related U.S. laws governing citizenship at birth for children born outside the U.S. and its territories, the following conditions had to be met in order for Ted Cruz to legally claim U.S. citizenship at birth via these naturalization statutes through his mother. The U.S. citizen parent had been physically present in the United States or its territories for a period of at least 5 years at some time in his or her life prior to the birth of which at least 2 years were after his or her 14th birthday. If the U.S. citizen parent spent time abroad in any of the following 3 capacities, this can also be counted towards the physical presence requirement. 1, serving honorably in the U.S. Armed Forces. 2, employed with the U.S. government. Or 3, employed with certain international organizations. Additionally, time spent abroad by the U.S. citizen parent while the U.S. citizen parent was the unmarried son or daughter and a member of the household of a person who meets any of the 3 conditions above can also be counted. In Ted Cruz's case, at no time did his parents serve in the U.S. Armed Forces, nor were they employed by the U.S. government or by any of the certain international organizations during their 8 years in Canada between 1966 and 1974. Also, Rafael Cruz, Ted's father, was at no time a legal citizen of the United States prior to naturalizing in 2005 from Canada. Rafael's known legal citizenship status as of 1970 was Cuban, not American. There isn't a shred of evidence to suggest that the parent or parents of Ted Cruz ever filed a CRBA form with the U.S. government in or around 1970, which is why Ted Cruz released a copy of his Canadian citizenship records and not any U.S. citizenship records. As a result, there remains no authentic evidence to support the claim that Ted Cruz is either a natural-born or a naturalized citizen of the United States. Without any form of U.S. citizenship documentation and proof of Canadian citizenship at birth in 1970, and holding that legal status until May 2014, when he renounced his birth citizenship to Canada, there is no way for Ted Cruz to prove that he is either natural-born and eligible for the Oval Office or naturalized prior to 2012 when he sought and accepted a seat in the U.S. Senate as a legal citizen of Canada. Therefore, according to the preponderance of evidence today, Ted Cruz is indeed and fact holding a seat in the U.S. Senate illegally with no documented proof of legal U.S. citizenship whatsoever, and proof of Canadian citizenship between the years of birth in 1970 and May of 2014. It is truly a sad state of affairs that an individual whom so many Americans are placing their political faith and hope in has proven more than willing to defraud his supporters for both votes and millions in campaign donations. Now, the big question is, what will we, the people, do with this information? Do enough American citizens possess the motivation to restore constitutional compliance, or are they merely willing to go along with political expediency? How about our courts? Will they do the right thing and get involved by hearing cases brought challenging a candidate's constitutional eligibility? Or will they continue to ignore the whole destruction of our Constitution and constitutional republic by refusing to hear any of the cases like they did with the cases involving Obama, by claiming that those bringing the cases lack standing, which simply means in legalese that those bringing the cases have not been personally hurt by allowing an ineligible candidate to take office? However, it is my belief that every violation of the Constitution hurts all of us. Think about that. Thank you. Good night, and may God bless you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.